A lot of people probably wondering why the Bloc Quebecois would vote with the Liberals, whom they supposedly hate, in order to keep the carbon tax on home heating fuels in the rest of the country. It's really not that difficult to figure out. The carbon tax doesn't apply in Quebec. So the Bloc Quebecois can vote for the carbon tax to be imposed in the rest of the country without there being any consequences on Quebecers, and therefore there's no political consequences for the Bloc. How come Quebec doesn't have the carbon tax, you ask? Well, since 2014, Quebec has had this arrangement with California, whereby fuel companies in both jurisdictions must have carbon credits. They must buy them on a market for all of the emissions that their fuels will produce. It's a phony market. For the last few years, the price has been very depressed for buying carbon credits on this market, which means that the cost of carbon pricing in Quebec is significantly lower than it is in the rest of the country. For instance, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation calculates that the average Canadian spends 14 cents a litre in carbon tax on every litre of gasoline that they pump into their vehicles. In Quebec, it's under 10 cents. 14 cents for you and me, under 10 cents in Quebec. That's what the Quebec carbon pricing scheme provides. And by 2030, when the federal carbon tax will be at its full extent, it'll be $170 a ton. It'll add 37 cents a litre just in the federal carbon tax, 37 cents a litre in the rest of the country, while Quebec's scheme will probably add about 23 cents a litre. It's less than two-thirds the size of the federal carbon tax. So you thought it was outrageous that Atlantic Canada was given a 3-year carbon tax holiday on home heating fuel 2 weeks ago by the Liberals. It's far more outrageous what's going on in Quebec, but it barely gets noticed. And that's how come the Bloc Quebecois can get away with imposing the carbon tax on the rest of the country, continuing to impose the carbon tax on natural gas, on coal, on electricity, on anything else that we use to heat our homes, because it doesn't apply in Quebec. For Postmedia, I'm Lorne Gunter.